Thank you so much for staying tuned to this frequency. It's now time for us to start off with the first discussion segment. Don't forget about the fear of Nigeria sliding down to recession. I think for the third time, right? That is a fear. IMF, they've warned us, saying hunger may just prevail if things are not handled with care. We are taking a look at crunching economic meltdown in some sectors. You get to hear some can't pay salaries. You get to hear some don't have the money to carry out projects. You get to hear some just can't measure up without borrowing from either the World Bank or from some banks around them just to keep body and soul together. We're talking about Nigeria. You get to hear about local government borrowing, state government borrowing, federal government borrowing. Right now, talking about the borrowing trend is quite alarming, and the World Bank is definitely worried that if you are not careful, we may just slip into recession for the third time right now, consecutively. What do you feel about that? I'm not saying, come on, that is just a hoax in the sense that next year is the election, that is the time we should be seeing money in circulation, because politicians will definitely broke the bank to liberate money to achieve their visions and goals in whatever office they really want to dive into. What do you feel about this? These fears, are they germane? Should one really be careful? With me here in the studio, I have a legal practitioner, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Gabriel Ehigato. Barrister, welcome to TMI on this edition. I appreciate your comment.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right. And of course, I have a political analyst here with me in the studio, a one-time local government councillor right in Ego. What again was that?
Ward 7.
Ward 7. And of course, he is an entrepreneur. Join me to welcome Honorable Derek Ohunwago. Welcome to TMI Sunday's edition.
Thank you.
I appreciate your coming.
For having me.
We're one of the likes of Samuel Ehigato, and of course, Izomo. If they're able to make it, fine. If not, in broadcasting, the show definitely must go on. As a politician, I want to start off with you. You don't have anything to fear, because upon being a politician, you are also an entrepreneur. There's this warning about us sliding into recession. We as a Nigerian, should we be apprehensive about this warning?
Well, we should. Only to the extent that the country is not a product-based, it's not operating a product-based economy. You know, an economy that is product-based, that depends on its own products, and even exports to foreign countries, need not to be afraid so much about recession, because some of the causes of recession are high interest rates, loss of confidence in the economy, so that the investors will take their investment somewhere else where they feel it's profitable, falling housing prices, and so on and so forth. So if investors lose confidence in an economy, what are the causes of such, loss of confidence? We see it around in our environment everywhere. There is the trend of kidnapping here and there. There is a trend of terrorism, banditry. There is a trend of high rate of ritual killing and what have you. So there's a lot of negative, impression concerning the Nigerian environment. And government seem not to have done so much in terms of trying to bring the minds of investors, down, and for them to have much confidence in our economic sector. So I think we need to be worried.
We need to be worried.
We need to be worried. There is high rate of insecurity, which are one of the factors that can lead to investors losing confidence in our economy. There are other factors too that tend to also give these investors, to lose confidence in our economy. So if we do not tackle all of these menaces, then we have normally a very good analyst would know that if not for the resilience of the Nigerian economy, Nigeria should have slid into recession a long time ago already.
All right, all right. Well, Barrister, you heard him. He talked about insecurity, talked about high interest rate, talked about the brain drain of factories and industry away from Nigeria, so to speak, to other countries. Should we be worried?
Well, thank you so much, Wilson. For Nigeria is into a recession situation or sliding into a recession is not news at all. The factors are there. They are very clear. They are audible for the deaf to hear and visible for the blind to see. Over the years, political analysts, economic analysts have warned Nigeria state of our production level, which is to even engulf more into the recession period. I listened to the director, the Statistics General of the Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics, the then Dr. Yemin Ekali, when he gave analysis of the Nigerian economic state at 2020 when Nigeria flew into recession. It is very clear. We are a nation that do not produce, yet we consume so much. We are a nation that have industries lying fallow, yet we cease to give more attention to international commodities. We are borrowing severally, and we are still borrowing upon borrowing. The money we are holding in Nigeria, the Chinese government, is not what this generation can even pay. We don't want to even go into cash upon cash we are borrowing from other government. But the Chinese in question, we have borrowed so much in terms of construction of roads, in terms of building of complexes, like governmental complexes, and the rest. So it's very unfortunate that we have found ourselves in this manner. Before now, Nigeria have been told, even by the World Bank, even by the International Monetary Fund Committee, that Nigeria is about to slide into recession. And if you take a critical political analysis and a closer look, we find that Nigeria entered recession 4 times within a space of how many years. And that to show the incompetency of the government. That to show a kind of government that we have. A government that is not listening to its people. And that is the situation we find ourselves. When you look at it from the angle of the Constitution, the Nigerian economy cannot grow because we operate a kind of, quote unquote, a centralized system of government. We don't even operate through federalism. Our power is concentrated in the central government, both the political and the economic power. So such a nation cannot grow. There's no diversification of power for nations or rather for states to control their resources and build their own economy. Such thing is not restrained in our constitution. So that is a foremost problem we must tackle from the root.
All right, now he talked about government policies. He said this like, the third or fourth time of the threatened by this recession. Is it only on government policies or we have other factors militating against the progress of Nigeria to jump out of recession?
I've highlighted a few causes of this problem of recession. The possible causes therein. And yes, we can agree that policies of government are skewed towards benefiting the elites. Government have not done enough to ensuring that economic factors, that governance, that the economy belongs, that the people take ownership, of the economy. They've not integrated or carry the citizens of this country along effectively enough so that people will know or have that sense of belonging that Nigeria belongs to them, that government belongs to them, that the factors of production belong to the people. And there, as a result, every single day we lose patriotism. People do not take this nation serious anymore because they feel that governance and government belong to the people at the top, the elites and the public office holders, so to say. So until government deliberately bring about policies that will ensure that the ownership of the factor of production returns back to the people, then we'll remain where we are. For example, if issue of the refineries of Nigeria that is moribund, if government passionately tries to refurbish those refineries and give free shares, maybe by ballots, to citizens of this country, maybe up to 20% of the stocks or shares of that refineries to the citizens of this country, don't you think that the people will feel ownership of this nation? Don't you think that mentality that it not concern us, that many people in the street now have, don't you think it will come down a little bit? If the people know that government and governance is for their own interest, they will protect government installations. They will protect the interest of the country and the government. But as it is now, there's a lot of suspicion. The citizens suspect government, they suspect their traditional rulers, that they suspect even their religious leaders, that these people are there for themselves and for their immediate family. And with what is going on in our society, you will agree with me that this impression that the people have, is the impression that is actually what is obtainable, in our public space. And we need to do every proper thing to ensure that patriotism comes back within our society. If not, the country will continue to slide into the problems of insecurity and so on and so forth, which is not also good, for the economy.
All right. Now, he talked about patriotism. He talked about leadership. He talked about security situation. Now, all these factors really playing out against Nigeria's recovery economically.
Nigeria is not with due respect, it's not a state where putting your patriotism is even a risk.
It's even a risk?
It's a risk.
How?
We are seeing situations where patriotic Nigerians, we are being murdered, we are being killed, we are being discouraged because of government policy. We are seeing it over time. Even the government itself are for. See, this nation, even no matter how patriotic you are, if you are not in the same line with the cabals who rule this nation, your patriotism will be rubbish. It can go to you will be eliminated. We have names, we don't want to mention their names, or persons who have over time displayed public patriotism in regards to salvage our nations. And they were murdered, they were killed, they were frustrated. So our average Nigeria, who is even patriotic of this nation, is scared to show his patriotism. How am I speaking my mind? Because nobody pays me salary. So I have the right to speak up my mind. That is patriotism. Patriotism is service to the people. Patriotism is putting the people first. So can you say the Nigerian government appreciate patriotism? No, not at all. So people are even scared to bring out their patriotic attitude in savages this nation. So when people are not patriotic to a cause, when people are not patriotic to a nation, there can never be any sense of development. Just as I said, the insecurity in our nation is so alarming. And you expect people to be patriotic? Patriotic of our people are paying their taxes. That is patriotism. That is believing in a cause. That is civic responsibility. But the government in their own part playing to the patriotic dancing? Not at all. So the issue of patriotism is out of it. An average Nigerian that is patriotic is scared of the sincerity of the government. If you have an information in regard to insecurity, for example, and you report to the Nigerian police, that is patriotism. But can the Nigerian police and the Nigerian government assure the safety of such patriotic Nigeria? So Nigerians have lost it when it comes to patriotism because we do not trust our government any longer. So even if you are patriotic, you cease not to exercise it because you do not have a trust of security for the government. And that boils down to our economy. That affects our economy. Apart from that, the poverty rate the Nigerian government have put Nigerians to all over the years have also made a lot of us not to be patriotic. Yes, because people are looking for means to survive. As I told to you now, there is no price rate in controlling the price of commodity. Nigeria is operating a system where people have become self-monopoly in terms of economy. In Nigeria, you can buy a commodity in Lagos. The price will be different for that same commodity in Kaduna. It is different for that same commodity in Benin because there is no regulating power in regards to the price of commodity in Nigeria. So everybody are doing their own. Everybody has self-monopoly power to fix price for any commodity. The Nigerian economy will continue to go down the drain as far as we have not done the needful.
You heard him, he said it's not about patriotism. You put your patriotism before the country, you stand the risk of losing what you hold dear. Now, if, according to him, we cannot trust our government when you talk about being patriotic, here's an example of some Nigerians that have lost their lives, that have been humiliated, that have been humbled, so to speak. Now, how do you think this tide can be turned?
The tide, to turn the tide.
Yes. I just like the way you pause to turn the tide, as if it's an Herculean task.
It is. Because a lot of water have gone down the drain. And the mentality and the general orientation of the Nigerian people have been changed almost permanently. So to reconfigure us towards that path of patriotism, of equity, is difficult. It will almost be like going through a revolution. Government needs to double up to ensuring that we don't get there before we start thinking of how to right the wrong that we have been in for so long. Do you know that since 1960 till date, Nigeria economy, if you are evaluating it from our gross national income, have increased just slightly over 400%. Slightly over 400%. Whereas the inflation rate in this country from 1960 till date is more than 420,000%.
Wow. That's quite high.
How crazy is that?
Astronomically high.
You know. So, in the past, Nigeria was doing well. The different geopolitical zone focused on particular issue or area of the issue of development or economy. They were doing well with it until what I would call the long throat of the political class, you know, caused us to start going backward as it is today. We were producing. The Southeastern Bloc was producing massively to the extent that we are exporting products. Our fabrication plants were booming. investors were interested in coming into Nigeria. You know, government was getting a lot of income from taxation. We didn't have to depend on natural resources to run this country. The agricultural sector was doing well because there was no threat, you know, of banditry, you know, to farmers. So people were at peace to farm, even though it was not a mechanized farming, but they dedicated themselves, their strength to farming, and you see all the products that came out. Then, you see the groundnut pyramid, you see the rice, you see the cocoa here and there. Where is cocoa today in Nigeria? Where is palm oil today in Nigeria? Whereas people like Malaysia and Indonesia understudied Nigeria. Today, Malaysia is the highest producer of palm oil. And Indonesia, I think, is the second highest producer of palm oil. Today, as we speak, China, you know, I think that China has started harvesting cocoa. So these are people that came to study cocoa in West Africa. You know, so they are now seeing Chinese cocoa. Why is it so? Because these are governments that are focused towards building their nation and their people. But our governments, can they boldly stand to say they are focused in building the nation and the people? If they say yes, how? How? When your own investments, when our budget is largely filled with recurrent expenditures. Sometimes you see that capital expenditure in our budget, annual budget, sometimes it's not up to 20%. You know, you see debt servicing taking a large chunk of it. You see recurrent expenditure in the part of the public office holders taking a large chunk of it, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, you know, and if you recall, from the beginning, he spoke about how we've been warned, if we do not take time concerning this, our borrowing, it will plunge us, you know, into recession. Right. But is the government listening? Government largely is not listening because when they borrow, it helps to line individual pockets, and the long throat is not too much.
The long throat, or what you call greedy.
You know, we need to check it before it checks us.
All right. Now, he used the term long throat, you know. That is greed. That is what he's talking about, the People's Palace understanding long throat syndrome. All right. Now, people like saying that since 2023 election is around the corner, there is no way we can fall into recession because politicians are ready to break the bank to make sure that their dreams, aspiration of achieving the aim of becoming a political office holder will hold sway. What do you feel about that?
Politicians are beginning to, in fact, they vetted their financial arsenal and bringing out their weapons. It is no joke that the 2023 general election, cash is going to flow. Excess cash. Nigeria seems to be a very unserious government, with due respect.
Unserious how?
A very unserious government. How? And that is practitionalized by our politicians, who seems to take, I call them political practitioners, who seem to take our government, or rather governors, as their own customary practice and profession. A governor that could not pay civil servants for years have 100 million to buy the All Progressive Congress presidential fund. I don't want to mention his name, we all know him. I don't want to mention his name. There are persons who have been in government for years who never have any impact on the social welfare of the citizens. They are not bringing down millions to buy presidential funds. So government is not serious. When some person eventually become the president of this country, what is he going to do with our money? You go forget the 100 million. So I don't know what they're trying to achieve. They're trying to show to us that governments have always been expensive and it continue to be expensive. And yes, somebody is talking about the not too wrong, not too wrong bill. How do you expect a man of my age and status to get 100 million naira to buy the presidential fund? Or to get 50 million naira to buy the governorship fund? Even the House of Assembly with about 2 million naira, how do you expect an average Nigerian to get such an amount of money? We are making our governance more expensive, and we are going to enter more recession after the election. The only time money will flow now is because there is campaign. Because that seems to be the only thing working in this nation now. No other thing, no other factors of government, as I speak to you today, is working. Even those who seem to be in charge of our educational sector, who have been crying all over the malls, that ASO is on strike. There is no money to fund ASO. ASO is on excess demand. They brought out 100 million naira to buy phone. But it's very unfortunate that our security agencies, that our financial investigating agencies, like the SEC and the IRCPC, do not know their work. Because they know their work, by now some persons should have been arrested and investigation should have commenced earnestly.
Wow. Quite interesting. If you take a look at the print media, you get to see some reports. We're talking about the EFCC busting some prisons in Nigeria. We're talking about investigation ranging into billions of naira, millions of dollars, and of course, a little bit of millions of pounds. Now, he said the politicians, they are ready to, go bust the bank. And you heard about the particular governor that couldn't pay salaries, was able to cough out 100 million, though they will tell you it's their friends and colleagues that gathered money for them, but they purchased 100 million naira of foam. He talked about also the seriousness of government. He mentioned ASU and all that. Now, putting all these factors together, do you think that if Nigeria is not careful one way or the other, after this election, we are going down the drain, economically speaking? Recession, bam.
Well, the issue of recession, to some extent, we have, discussed about it.
Yeah.
But another area I want to look into is the area where the Nigeria justice system tend to be that web that catches little insects and let go of the bigger ones. It was yesterday I saw an headline where they said EFCC arrested, was it 12 or 18 Yahoo boys in Lagos? And they've also arrested such young folks here in Benin severally. I detest Yahoo, but that is not to say that Yahoo is the main problem of the Nigerian economy. Most time, the main problem of the Nigerian economy is the public servants. Or do I even say, and it also comprises of the civil servants. Because the civil servants are better, they are the main, people that abates all of these corrupt practices. So if we do not check that public sector who are supposed to be accountable to the people's welfare, then you see that Nigeria will continue in this problem. One of the major problems of this our economic woe is the issue of over-invoicing. There's hardly any contract that goes on in Nigeria that is not over-invoiced. And they have created a very clear path towards, funneling the percentage of their earnings from this over-invoicing. But there are still a few leaders who are not interested in it. But they are a microscopic few. The majority of public office holders and public servants are involved in over-invoicing to the extent that up to 50% sometimes of a project amount or sum goes to private pockets. So how can a country grow when 50% of the budget in the capital sector goes to the pocket? Remember we said earlier that sometimes the entire budget is not up to 20% that will be given to the capital expenditure sector. And if this less than 20%, 50% of it goes to individual pocket, you see that we have a long way to go. And Nigeria is one of the few countries that does not have any form of welfare for its citizens. You know, all over Europe, all over America, and even Asia, some time ago, you know, Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, you know, said that he's committed to ensuring that 10% of the Chinese people are millionaires within the next few years. Millionaire in dollars. Remember some time ago, he said he's committed to ensuring that up to 100 million Chinese people becomes millionaires. He has achieved that. He has achieved that. That's why some foreign government will do everything possible to fight to protecting the interests of their foreign companies abroad. They can go to war. But Nigeria, we do almost nothing in regards to this. Do you know why? Because the people who are supposed to be the leaders that are protecting our interests, our welfare, have snakes and skeletons in their cupboard. And if they decide to now confront another foreign nation who tend to be suffocating citizens of Nigeria in business abroad or what have you, then they will open up that their skeleton. And the whole world will see that they have been laundering money to these foreign countries. Okay. So because our slate is not clean as a people, we cannot fight a just cause. Because they said an honest man have nothing to fear. But are we really honest? We are not honest, and this is what is disturbing our progress in this country.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you the same question before calling it a wrap on this particular segment. I felt like saying that, look, after this election, in Pidgin English, we hear we. Right now, they're talking about the fear of recession, that no how we cannot escape it, because politicians might have finished spending, some will go on a borrowing spree, and the government finds it so difficult to balance up economically. How true is this hypothesis?
You call it hypothesis, but I call this prophecy.
Prophecy.
Is the prophecy that seems to have 70% of reality occurrence. I told you before that money is going to flow. And after money flow, Nigerian politicians need to recover the money they spend in this election. All right, the money they are going to spend in this election. It's not going to be easy for anybody in this country. It's not going to be easy for our businesses. It's not going to be easy for our investors. It's not going to be easy for our production unit, the little production unit we have as a nation, because we consume more than we produce, and that's a big problem. I don't see Nigerian government or the Nigerian economic state escaping recession after the election, because the reason why there are always even been recession is that these people have been gathering money, hoping that they will spend in this coming election. Now money has started flowing. If 10 persons, is it 10 now? Or 10 persons pick the APC presidential form for 100 million naira, that's how much? That's 1 billion. Imagine 20 persons. That is already 2 billion. In a nation where we are struggling to feed, in a nation where an average citizen have no able to even keep up with the 3 square meals a day. So you see that the Nigerian government are not serious. They do not care about their citizens. All they care about is all about themselves. It's a cabal. Nigeria is being ruled by a set of cabal.
Well, you don't have proof of that.
No.
You don't have proof of that.
Let me tell you.
We have a president. We have the presidency.
Let me tell you.
All right.
This country, there's only a division among the commoners. The political elite of this country are so united. United in making this nation. It's like a game plan. It's like a secret court. It's like a coven. If you are not there, you won't know what's going to happen. That is the way this country is being run. And that is why you can see that the money is flowing within a certain set of people. A certain set of people. This is a country where the person will be contesting with millions upon millions. It will see bad for another person. You have to make a counter plan. You have to have a plan B. This is the same nation we see them. So that we are going to avoid or escape the next incoming recession is not what we will debate about. It is going to be clear that Nigeria will enter recession again, except God save this nation.
Except God save this nation. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your opinion. I know you have so much to say, but we have other things to really talk about. You've heard them. State of the nation, the fear of recession. They spoke their mind about what is really happening from their prediction. I was saying that they just hypothetical that after 2023 we may just land into a recession. He's saying it's a prophecy that if we're not careful, 70% certain because of the way things are going on. They talked about political parties selling their forms for 100 billion for presidential aspirants. We have more than 10 of them. PDP also 14 million. You know, out of 17, 2 of those qualified, but the money wasn't refunded. So you know the reason why about party upkeep and the rest of them. Talk about millions being invested in politics. If you do the calculation, if you're with a computer or calculator, you get to realize that it has gone over billions just to purchase forms from all parties, put it together. Talk about billions right now given to just that minute segment in all the electionary process. What about campaign? What about debate, TV appearance, you know, radio appearance, print media, social media? We are talking about money. People like Senator from calculation may jump into trillions conducting this election from all political parties, INEC inclusive, put the money together. It's enough to do something constructive, and this is it, going into election. Some are saying, if we are not careful, there's no way we can escape recession because politicians, so to speak, it's all about investment. You were there. What are you going to do next? They have this mentality of recuperating. After all you invest, you're going to recoup. How do you recuperate? Funneling money here and there. But pray that doesn't happen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on today's show. Appreciate you coming. I may just stay happy for the next segment. You never can tell. So just stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be right back.